able to proceed. So, first of all, my name is Kenneth Njihia. I'm head of innovation at Sote Hub. With me here, I have a team that is with us. I'll start with Mr.
Did you mention it?
No, wewe nitamaliza na wewe.
Okay.
Okay. I'll start with Ogalo.
Can you see me? Hello.
Hello.
Thank-
We can hear you.
Thank you very much.
We can see you.
I don't know what the problem is. Thank you very much, Ken.
Proceed.
I'm Mogalo. Yeah, I work at Sote Hub and I'm stationed in Kwale. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much. Then there is Grace. Grace, we can't hear you.
Okay, my apologies. My name is Grace Alura. I represent finance office here at Sote Hub.
Thank you so much, Grace. I know most of you have been interacting with Grace during reimbursement, and thank you for giving us a good time. Then there's Lawrence. Lawrence is here. Thank you so much, Lawrence. Then we have Lucia.
So Ken.
Hi everyone,
just
I'm
for your
Lucia
info-
from Sote Hub.
Yeah, thanks, Lucia. For your info, the guest is coming at 15:15. She's held up with in traffic.
Okay.
But she's joining
Programs
us
assistant.
at 2:15.
Okay. Thank you so much, Director. Lucia, you can introduce yourself again.
Hi everyone, I'm Lucia from Sote Hub, Programs Assistant.
Thank you, Lucia. Then we have Nejuma.
Hi everyone, Nejuma Idi, working with Sote Hub. Karibuni sana.
Asante sana, Nejuma. Then there's Alvin. Alvin is the person who led us here. So Alvin, back to you, then you invite the director for his remarks.
I see the director has left. I think maybe it's a technical problem. But hi again, my name is Alvin Kiradi Chorle. I thank God because of this milestone. When we were beginning this program, I think coming this far was just, say, a fantasy. But here we are, the Lord is good. We give him all the glory. So I once again want to welcome us all to this meeting. Our pleasure at Sote Hub is to see your businesses excel. And the more we get success stories of you guys benefiting from these trainings and these forums, that is what motivates us to keep on going and to keep on moving forward. So, as I had said earlier, today's meeting is a bit, I'd say, it's a golden opportunity for everyone. So I want to encourage all of us that we will be attentive, we will be here because we know the challenges that come with virtual meetings. Sometimes someone can just put, you can see the name there, but the person is not available. But I want us to take that initiative for the sake of your business, because the procedures we used to select these trainers was very thorough, and we know that what they have surely will benefit your business in one way or another. So have a good one. We'll be here with you in case anyone has questions, need for clarification, with whatever direction the discussions is going to take us. I know at the end of the day, we're going to have more success stories coming in. So karibuni tena na Mungu awabariki. And back to you, Ken. I think David came in. So David, please, you can also introduce yourself.
Working, but pleasure to be with you here. The topic for today is very close to my heart as well, because I ran a tourism business. I think that was for about 4 years in my early career life, that is immediately after university. And definitely it was a very interesting sector, is a very interesting sector, still is, but it also has huge challenges. Because a lot depends on the perception. When you talk about tourism, it's all about perception. And they can be very fickle. Within a very short time, you think you have the clients. The next day, something happens and you don't have the clients. And this could range from pandemic to political stability, name it, to anything. And maybe like a bad report. Last year, I remember there was a huge report in Zanzibar where we had one hotel where they were abducting some tourists. And that became a very red alert. And so tourism is very fickle. Everything is online. So everything happening in every corner, it only needs somebody to write a blog or to post in TripAdvisor. And then the next thing you know is that your rating has gone low and you can no longer be able to attract the clientele that you're looking for. But also you can also use the social media in terms of your own marketing. Because what I remember we used to do is every time we take visitors or clients, we ask them to put a rating for us. So there's a client feedback form and they go online. And that's why you have hotels or tour companies that are rated higher. The 6-star, 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, and people like to talk about their experiences. And so it's a very interesting sector, and actually one of the most important in this country. I think for a while, tourism was the #1 export, or rather the foreign exchange earner for this country. And then at some point it was overtaken by I think it was a horticulture, and then tea and coffee. And then if you go to other countries, for example, if you look, I've been to a country known as Cyprus, which is a country of 3 million population. And they say that at peak tourism season, they have like 3 million visitors. So the number of visitors is the same as the number of the population. And all they offer is a nice beach, tourist hotels, and kind of holiday. In Kenya, for example, we have nearly all the packages. Talk about bush and beach. You can go to Mara, You can go to all the national parks and really see wildlife. But you can also go to the coast and be able to have a bit of the beach experience. But you can also go to the forest if you are looking for nature. There is a huge attraction in terms of historical sites, but there's also a huge attraction in terms of the culture. So we seem to have more, but if you look at the tourist arrivals, I think Kenya receives not more than 1 million visitors. So it therefore means that we are performing well below capacity. And so it's really something that I also want to learn from your experience running these establishments. How is it? How has it changed? When I was in this sector, I think that was way between 2008 to somewhere 2012. And I know a lot has really changed. Yeah, so, but unfortunately, so the guest is coming. She's held up a little bit, so she should be with us in about 10 minutes. But my name is David, and it's a pleasure to work with this wonderful team. I think we've all enjoyed visiting you, the physical meetings and workshops. And I know that right now we are nearly at the very tail end of the program, but still there's a lot more. And we want to be able to carry on and be able to see that we have a fantastic graduation or an end to the program. So pleasure to be with you. And when the guest arrives, I think I'll come back to introduce her again. Thank you. Over to you, Ken.
Thank you so much. So before the guest arrives, I think it's very important that we know who is in the house. So kwa kifupi ningetaka tujue ni nani na nani wako hapa. So nitaita majina na unatuambia wewe ni nani, unatoka kaunti gani na unafanya nini. So nitafuatiliza majina kulingana yalivyojipanga hapa. So nitaanza na mtu anaitwa Mr. Polycarp Alex. Naona kama ninajua Polycarp ni wa kaunti gani, lakini wacha tuulize. Wengi wenu tumepatana wakati wa training, so tunajuana wengi. So Polycarp, if you can hear me, you can unmute and say hi. Polycarp seems not to hear me. Then there is Athman Ahmed, sorry. Can unmute and say hi. Bishamba Juma.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm
Hello.
Bishamba Hamisi Juma. I'm a tour guide located at For Jesus Museum.
Okay, thank you so much. There's the Basso Creek.
Hi everyone, I'm Dexon Mizinga from Crab Shack Restaurant Watamu.
Asante sana Dixon. Dafford Owino. Dafford Owino. Dennis Ali.
Hamjambo, my name is Dennis Ali, nimekaa Kilifi hapa Tamaduni Garden. So, thank you.
Asante sana Dennis. Dominic Mkulo. Sorry, Dominic Sikuski.
Hello.
Sasa nakusikia vizuri. Yes, Dominic.
Yes, I'm Dominic Mkulo Mtali.
Yes.
Yes, I'm a wildlife ranger in Taita Taveta County in community ranches.
Okay, thank you so much. I have seen Atman Mohammed was somewhere. Atman, if you could just unmute and say hi. Okay. Dorcas Chipa. Okay. Now, I see our guest is here. We'll still catch up in the course of the meeting. Dorcas, introduce yourself. I can see you unmuting. Then.
Okay, I'm Dorcas from Twapa. I do outside catering.
Okay. Thank you so much. Back to you, David, our director, to guide us to the next session. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Ken. And apologies, guys, for my noisy background. I have had a packed, busy day, and just like Judy, I was also in difficult conditions. But pleasure to be with you. I think I want to welcome all of us. And for the sake of our guest, Judy Kefa. So this is a class of Go Blue. We have about 200 MSMEs that we are working with directly. What we are doing is what we call an acceleration program that has been ongoing and is meant to end sometimes in November. So they are in different sectors. There is aquaculture, there is the mariculture, there is the fish handling, then there is the tourism and hospitality, then there is the boat repairs, marine security, but also we have guys, especially with green businesses. And so, for example, we have groups here who have mangrove. They are planting mangroves for commercial purposes, but also there are groups that are also working especially with beach management. So for this group that we have here, the focus for them is on tourism and hospitality, but also we have the guys working in environment. So it could be on any conservation projects or program. And so without much ado, I think this is a project that has been immensely fulfilling, not just for the entrepreneurs, but also for us, because we've also had, it has been a learning kind of exchange. And so where we come and also learn, and it has been very delightful for us to listen and hear the experiences. We have had different experts. I think we had about 34 experts working directly with us in this project. And so one of those sectors that I think is very, very important is the tourism. And I remember, I think, Judy, when we first met, I think it was on the tourism sector. I can't quite remember the year, but it's maybe sometimes in 2009, yeah, maybe 2009. I'm sure some of my staff were not yet born, some of them here. But yes, so I think you are an expert of many, many years. Judy has, I think, maybe over 20 years of championing, especially on the sustainable tourism in Africa, but also globally. And I think her passion and love for this continent and for us to be able to do better, I think is unmatched. I think during this course, I will not be wrong to say you've worked with a lot of global brands. I think the program that we were working with you, that I think we were consulting, was on WFTO, that is World Tourism Organization. That was the basis. And we were looking at a project in Masai Mara. I remember the group known as OSIM. And Judy has won also multiple awards, and she's directly the founder and the director of Sustainable Travel and Tourism Agenda. And so welcome you to share in with this group. So this group has had a lot of physical classes. We were holding physical workshops, and they were targeting especially in terms of how can they be able to improve their business? How can they do business in the modern way? And with a focus on increasing revenue, increasing personnel, enable them to reach the sector-specific standards, and basically what are the good networks that they can be able to take advantage of to take their tourism business to the next level. I know you also running another component of Go Blue, which is I think on the part of Portugal, and so we look forward really to sharing and learning a lot from your end. My co-host is Ken Njihia. I think Ken has been your contact, and Ken, I think, will be responsible for especially getting to you the questions from the participants. I think Ken already has some more questions, but in the course of the engagement, there will be more questions that will be coming, and Ken will be able to bring this to your attention. So over to you, Judy. The platform is yours.
Sorry, Judy, you're on mute.
Sorry. Okay. Sorry about that. Thank you, David, for the introduction. Thank you, Ken, for being the logistics person, coordinating all this, being my contact person. And good afternoon to all our participants this afternoon. I look forward to a very interactive session. If I am very technical, please stop me anywhere along the way where you want to ask a question. I tried to make the formal presentation short, David, but I realized that there is so much. And I tried as much to trim down from a course or a unit that we offer when we do coaching for medium, small, micro enterprises in tourism, when we're talking about tourism trends and what they look like. And I realized it's such a long discussion. I tried to summarize it, and I hope that it will be useful for this group. Please feel free to let me know, both David and Kenneth, if the depth of the discussion, what I could leave out, so that we can have more time for interaction. So let me see if I am able to share my screen. Just give me a moment. I'll try to get my slideshow on. Okay. I don't know whether you're able to see my screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes. Is it the correct page?
Yes, there's the Go Blue. Yeah.
Tourism trends in a dynamic environment?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Oh, thank you very much. So like I said, this is a very wide topic when we talk about tourism trends in a dynamic environment. And why do I call it a dynamic environment? I call it a dynamic environment because tourism is susceptible to many things. The recent one being the healthcare COVID-19 brought down tourism in some places to down by 99%. Globally, tourism went down by between 78 and 80% just because of the pandemic. We know situations where the environment, the weather has brought down tourism to its knees. We know situations where security has almost killed tourism in destinations. We know that sometimes economic meltdowns affect tourism significantly. We know that political systems can affect tourism. For example, if a nation is sanctioned by the United Nations and therefore countries issue travel warnings to their members, member states issue travel warnings to their citizens and say, do not travel to that country because they have violated certain human rights or global ethics for human relations. So tourism can be brought down by many things. There is a time that Uganda suffered significantly because of the stand that they had taken against LGBTQs. Those are people with different sexual orientation, and their tourism suffered significantly because of that position that had been taken by the head of state. So tourism trends are as dynamic as what is happening at that particular time. Since COVID happened, health and hygiene have been elevated in the travel and tourism industry. So today, if you are operating in this space, even post-COVID, you must demonstrate your travelers want to feel that they are safe enough, they have been pre-protected, and therefore they want as less contact as possible with things that everybody touches. So people don't want to touch doorknobs anymore. In the developed world, they want to use identities like their face, their eyes, their voice, to have access to lifts and other places, because the concern for health has become a very significant part of travel and tourism today. And it is something that it's not going to go away. It has been entrenched and embedded in tourism. And it doesn't matter what part of the world you are operating on. There are clients that you will lose out on today if your communication material does not have health and hygiene and safety measures for the travelers. Because of COVID, people are also looking at connectivity and ease of travel. People are thinking, should I go to a country and there is a lockdown? Am I able to find an international airline of repute that can get me out of that destination because they have the means, the capacity to negotiate with World Health Organization or negotiate with governments to do those special flights? We all recall that during the lockdown, there were a few airlines that were allowed to operate special flights that would move people either for health reasons and other things. And KLM was one of them. It took Kenya Airways a long time to achieve that status, to operate those special flights during COVID. So indeed, tourism is operating in a very dynamic environment. Just one thing happening in a destination can change the course of the destination completely. We know how Kenya's coastal tourism was affected by the bombings. Was that in 2002? David, I can't remember the exact year. But tourism at the coast has never recovered significantly because for a long time, for many years, for almost a decade plus, there were travel warnings against traveling to the coast of Kenya. Lamu even suffered for a longer time, and we know that Lamu's tourism is just struggling to get back on its feet because it has remained on the radar of nations like the US for a long time. So it's got a red alert on it. I'm just setting the context for us so that we know that when you are in the business of tourism, you must be aware of the context, the area in which you're operating the tourism, and what are the current things and issues, what are the current affairs in tourism concerning that place. There's some time when you can use those trends for advantage, to take advantage of the opportunities and rebuild your businesses. And sometimes it's an opportunity to innovate, to recreate, or even to look at alternatives. So what are we going to talk about today? These talking points were given to me to look at trends and recent changes in tourism, to look at revenue streams, policies and regulations, that is purely Kenyan, and to look at opportunities for funding. And I believe that these are opportunities for funding for businesses that want to enter the tourism space. Let's just look at tourism in numbers at a global level so that we can position ourselves in this big industry, this huge industry, the fastest growing economic sector globally. In 2019, 1.5 billion people traveled for one reason or another, for holiday. They traveled for leisure, or they even traveled for business. They traveled for health tourism. They traveled to visit family and friends. They traveled for wellness. They traveled for a lot of things. But 1.5 billion people traveled. And this number was, even by 2022 today, this number would have reached 2 billion and more. But because of COVID, in 2020, the numbers went down to 400 million, which means people still traveled by other means. Many borders were closed, but there were certain reasons for which people had to travel, and travel still happened. So according to UNWTO, in 2020, from 1.5 billion, 400 million people traveled. In 2021, it went up slightly to 450 million. We know that that is the time now when the vaccines were coming into place and borders were being reopened. It is believed that by the end of this year, 2022, tourism will probably be back to 1 billion, but it will not yet go back to 1.5 billion for many reasons. There are still countries that have restrictions for travel. There are people who are afraid to travel for health reasons. These are the people who are listed as high-risk people. So if you're a destination that depends on the elderly, you will be affected because the elderly are traveling less because of their preconditions, whether it's diabetes, high blood pressure, or other conditions that could be triggered by any form of COVID virus. We know the virus is still with us and is mutating. It's weakened now for whatever reasons. So there's a group of people that are still not traveling, and maybe they're observing, according to studies, until 2024 to see what has happened to the virus. So before we return to the numbers 1.5 billion, that could be, the earlier prediction was that that will be by end of 2023, but it could be by 2024. So now, if you are a business, if this was your business and you had revenue or travelers of 1.5 billion in 2019, and you are down to 450 million, that was a steep curve. So the way the numbers went down is the way the income for tourism businesses went significantly down. We know there are some airlines that closed completely. But we also know that something good happened out of this situation. Small businesses in tourism began to thrive. Businesses that were taking care of the domestic market began to thrive. Even in our own situation in Kenya, when all the big hotels were closed for a year or more. Some of them were closed forever. Others were sold out because they could not sustain the long-term closures, and there are many overheads. Small businesses, small lodges in protected areas, not many of them went out of business because they were able to manage their operations. But we also saw the emergence during 2020 and 2021, I think the highest number of local tour operators, small tour operators with maybe 2 persons or more were registered. This is the same period where the Tour Operators Society of Kenya, which had been formed by small tourism businesses in 2018, grew significantly in membership between 2020 and 2021, when there was the global loss of tourism arrivals in many destinations, and businesses were closing down. Small businesses, tour operators in Kenya were thriving. You recall that that is the time when they started offering, before the big operators could start business, before the big hotels could start, they started operating and offering daily tours to national parks that were close by. I remember in Nairobi, Twende Magadi, places like Twende Longonot, where people would go and come back. They started selling short day trips. We call them excursions in the tourism industry. So the excursions business boomed, and a lot of the small businesses made profit during this time, excessive. There's some of them who are members of the Tourism Society of Kenya who say that these were their best years ever, particularly 2021, because Kenyans had been in lockdown and people were at home, people were working from home. I once went to Nairobi National Park when the first lockdown was lifted in Kenya. I went to Nairobi National Park and I was shocked at the queues at Nairobi National Park in the morning on a Friday at 6 o'clock. The vehicles were reaching the main gates and outside of Nairobi National Park. And all these were vehicles from small tour operators. Earlier on, I said that there could be opportunities to be found even in the most difficult situations for tourism. There are times to innovate and become more creative. Now, is the trend for the growth of small businesses going to end soon? No, it is not going to end soon. Why? Because like I said, that COVID-19 changed the dynamics of travel, and we're going to see that later on. But one of the most significant things that it did is that people want to travel in small groups, and they want to travel as family. So that if we knew that we were COVID-free, the 5 of us as a family or friends, when we left, we know we'll sit in the same van, we'll go into a small boutique hotel, we will not meet too many people, and therefore we know that the risk of transmission for us is very low from amongst ourselves, and we can take care of that. Because of that, people are looking for more niche travel. People are looking for more outdoors. People don't want to be locked inside spaces. And we will see that in post-COVID, the all-inclusive packages, the cruise ships really suffered a lot because they carry lots of people and they have to stay you have to stay in the same place with these people over a long period of time. So small businesses are still going to thrive, provided you remain relevant. Being small is not your opportunity. Being relevant for this market that is emerging becomes your opportunity. Let's see a little bit something about, against those global numbers, how does tourism look like for Africa? Now, Africa accounts only for 5.8% of global tourism arrivals. So whether we use 1.5 billion or we use 400 million travelers arrivals, we know that Africa only accounts for 5.8% of global tourism arrivals, which means if 1,000 people traveled and we got 5% of that, only 5% of those people who traveled globally will come to Africa. And that would be like, what, 50? Or is it 500? I don't want to make those mistakes with numbers and statistics. But what am I saying? These numbers are significant for us to know that Africa still has opportunity to attract more travelers. If you look at the continent and what the continent has, right from rich culture and rich heritage, we have done not enough justice in sharing with the world what we have. In terms of unique ecosystems, if you look at Kenya alone,
Zanirani, please mute your mic.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Yes, so we are saying the potential for Africa to grow its tourism is still huge. Even if we were to just make 20% of the global tourism arrivals, the impact that would have on our tourism destinations and host communities in those destinations would be immense. That is what we mean when we say that tourism is a vehicle for economic development for many rural areas and rural communities in Africa, because of the richness of our culture and our heritage, which has not been exploited in the tourism market. And also, most of the areas that are pristine for tourism development are always found in the local environments, rural environments rather, where city life or city culture has not caught up with them. So Africa has an opportunity, a huge opportunity. We have barely scratched the tip of the opportunity that tourism has for Africa. So if you're in tourism, you're in the right business in Africa today. As a small operator, your chances of growing are higher in the tourism industry, because we know tourism is the only industry where the export is consumed at source. Somebody has to come to you to consume what you have. You don't have to take it to them. You take it to them through advertising, but the actual consumption happens where you are. What does that mean? That you have the opportunity to create the experience. Africa has a huge opportunity to use what it has to create those experiences and products and sell them to the international market. And the multiplier effect of a consumer coming to you is always greater than you producing an item here and exporting it into a market for consumption. On the same breath, the revenue that comes to Africa from tourism is only 3.5% of the global revenue. If we could just double or triple these numbers, tourism arrivals to Africa, even if we could triple it for Kenya alone, it would make a significant difference in our community. So tourism remains a great opportunity for Africa in terms of rural development. Now I come home to our numbers of tourism arrival data in Kenya. We can see that 2019 was the best year still, with 2,048,334 arrivals. COVID numbers went down like it did everywhere in the world, but tourism is recovering fast. I think the numbers for 2022 year to date, which were released last week, I think, by the Minister for Tourism, are telling us that we have already reached 924 million visitors. Do we know what is Kenya's carrying capacity for tourism? No, which means at the moment we are operating with an open top. Now that can be an opportunity and it can be a risk. It can be an opportunity because then we can grow what we have, and we know that we can grow it without limits. But growth without limits also has its challenges, because then tourism could become too intrusive and the communities might not be prepared, or host areas might not be prepared for the rapid change. If we were to double these numbers today, for example, and get 4 million visitors, The question will be, do we have enough beds? Do we have enough transport infrastructure for them? Can we fly 4 million visitors in if they were available today? Are our borders ready for them? Are our skies ready for them? The percentage that is our borders, international travelers. Do we have enough service providers? Do we have enough chefs? It means we need more beds. We'll need more hotels. We'll need more tour guides. We'll need more food crops. We'll need to supply the hotels and all that. All these are opportunities, indirect opportunities. So as tourism grows, and you look at the industries and sectors that tourism feeds into, because we are told tourism is a sector because it doesn't produce its own goods and services. It depends a lot on others. It's not an industry. But that's a technical discussion, not for here. I'm just trying to make you think that there are opportunities in tourism. If KTB says we want to grow these numbers, KTB means Kenya Tourism Board, the one that markets Kenya. If it says that our projection for 2025 is 4 million visitors, as an entrepreneur, you should start thinking, 4 million visitors means more beds are needed. Do I have the opportunity to invest in beds? What are the opportunities to invest in beds? Must I build a hotel? And I have seen young people in Mombasa taking advantage of the growth of domestic tourism when the SGR was built. I travel regularly through the SGR, and I am amazed at the thousands of people that train moves every day. And when I look at them, because I am from the tourism industry, I can tell that maybe a quarter of the train are business travelers. The rest of then you've got people visiting family and friends, could be another quarter. All the others are actually domestic tourists coming to Mombasa and its environments. This is a great opportunity. Now, today, if you're looking for accommodation in Mombasa, those people that come through the train most of them will not go into your conventional tourism hotel. They're going into what is called Airbnb. And young people in Mombasa today are actually renting out houses. They go and find one-bedroom houses, or they go and find bed sisters. They furnish them tastefully, and they offer them in the market. So they will pay the rent to the landlord, but they will sell this. This is what we call the shared economy. And I'll talk about the shared economy a little bit more. It has grown so significantly. So if Kenya Tourism Board says 3 million visitors, 4 million visitors by 2025, it must bring up like more beds. I have seen Airbnb grow significantly in Kisumu. And now you see lots of people travel to Kisumu for weekends. And when that happened, between 2019 and 2022, I think there are 4 more domestic airlines now flying to Kisumu, more than 3 or 4 flights a day. And they're not going there empty every time they're flying there. Of course, there are people traveling for visit of family and friends, but there are also opportunities for business travelers, and there are opportunities for other people. And Airbnb has grown so much in Kisumu, it's unbelievable. So as these numbers grow, there is tourism opportunity. Then there are all the people who are supplying the services, goods and services to that particular industry. So as I am talking, I want to believe that those of you who are here are seeing how you can position yourself for an opportunity in this industry, because as it grows, it opens opportunities for small, medium, micro enterprises more than it does for the big businesses. The big investors can say, oh, tourism is growing in Mombasa, I will put up one hotel. But the small business will be like, when that hotel is put up, there's transport. You see how the transport boom at SGR has happened in Mombasa. When you arrive and you see all those taxis and you see all those buses and all those transporting people. Transport is big for travel and tourism. It's an area, an opportunity for investment. And you will have to tell me, okay? All right. And you can stop me and ask me a question. Is there any question so far? Any question?
Ken, are you picking any question?
I'm looking at the chat. Currently, we don't have any questions.
Okay.
So we can proceed.
Okay. Now, let's have a quick look at the Kenya's source markets. Source markets are the places where your travelers come from, other than the domestic market. So Kenya has source markets that are outside of Africa. And then you've got the ones outside of Africa, we call them the international market. Then within Africa, we call them the regional market. Then within Kenya, that is the domestic market. So what you're seeing here is mainly the international and the regional market. You'll be surprised that today Uganda is our second largest source market after USA. Because there are many Ugandans coming to Kenya's coast for weddings. And then they come, they travel in large numbers, and they travel in families. Then you've got a lot of young Ugandans who come to Kenya for shopping, weekend shopping sprees. So they come to Nairobi and they have their shopping and they enjoy their nightlife and they go back to Uganda. That is almost the same market for Rwanda as well. They come here for events, again, like weddings, and then you have the young generation, the youth that travel for fun and for shopping. Nigerians are mainly coming here to spend their good money at the coast of Kenya, celebrating birthdays, having special parties, and also coming for business opportunities. Tanzania market is to also a large extent the resident what are they called, diplomatic community and international organizations that are there. Not many indigenous Tanzanians are traveling to Kenya, but the rich and the wealthy are also coming out just to get an experience of the city of Nairobi. Because Nairobi for some people is the equivalent of New York. So there is what is called new money in Africa. And the new money in Africa is with the young people. Young people with jobs in the tech world, in the communications world. There's a lot of young people who have disposable income very early in life, and we are going to see that group of travelers, Generation Y and Generation Z, and that group travels very quickly and at very, very short notice. They can just decide, like, let's jump on a flight to Nairobi for a weekend, which is very, very different from another group of older travelers. So this is who travels to Kenya, and Kenya spends a lot of money marketing in these destinations. In some of the places, they don't do lots of marketing, but because it's for convenience, they still get travelers coming from there. The wealthy of South Sudan, Kenya doesn't market itself there, but they would still come. Kenya doesn't market itself in Burundi or Somalia, but they still come because within the region, Kenya has a superior tourism product. We believe our biggest competitors are South Africa, Botswana, a bit of Namibia. In Africa, then you've got the North Africa, which is quite competitive because of their close proximity to the European countries. Yeah, so this is the age of visitors who consume tourism in Kenya. So combined, the population between 18 and 34 is 40%. Between 18 and 34, 40% of visitors who consume Kenya's tourism product are between the age of 18 and 34. And that market is growing, like I have mentioned, for two reasons. The one that I've mentioned is new money from the digital world, technology and all that. The world is dynamic, it's connected, there are many opportunities for young people. Plus, Africa has a big population of young people, and this is a market within Africa itself. A few years ago, this population of between 50 and 65 was a large percentage of Kenya's visitors, particularly the international market. The statistics and numbers that I'm showing are recent ones. This is post-COVID. And you can see that the people from the age of 55 going forward, the numbers have gone down drastically for the reasons that I gave earlier on. So as we're developing our products, we know where our focus is going to be. Let me talk about something about trends and recent changes, and I will talk about these things interchangeably. I'll talk about how travelers are changing, how experiences and consumer choices are changing, what are the niche markets. I've already talked about health, safety, and hygiene, and so I'll not repeat that. And I'll mention something about how sustainability has become a trend. So one of the trends is the travel patterns of the generation that is called Generation Y. These are the people who were born between 1980 and 1995, and they are millennials. They spend a lot of money. If you target them, you need to offer a diversity of products. I'm going to show you right now how they behave. They are still the ones who use more of Facebook and less of the other social media platforms. Yep, they live trendy lives. In Kenya, we would probably be calling them the middle class today, between the middle and the upper middle class. And they are not thinking like their parents used to think. They are also 24/7 online, which means they remain connected and they know what is happening across the world. So the other generation is the Generation Z, which are called the digital natives. These are the guys who are born and they don't know. Okay. Thank you. I like the way we call them the generation that were born to swipe. They don't understand anything that is not swiped. They even ask you how you lived before this, right? You will not get in touch with them if you are not a master in social media, because they are masters themselves. They know how information should be presented. Yep. So you can't communicate to them any way that you want. They are the generation that want Wi-Fi 24/7. So you can't tell them that you're going to charge them for Wi-Fi when they have bought your service or product. They expect, for them, Wi-Fi is a given. And it is not something that is privilege, because this is the generation they have been born into, and they like fashion and style. So if you are thinking of this generation for your market, for your product must express that lifestyle that they want. What am I saying in these two slides? I'm saying you must know your client. Who are you designing your product for? Are you designing it for Generation Z, or you're designing it for Generation Y, which are then millennials? And each one of them have their own ways of travel. So you will find that the millennial traveler will go online, will look at travel blogs, will research for destinations. They will book either through an agent or through a booking application. They will maintain communication, but they want instant messaging so that when they send you an email or something, you don't reply to them after 3 days. They expect that you're going to respond instantly. So instant communication is very, very, very important because people will cancel if you do not respond. And I'll tell you that because I'm a constant user of Airbnb. And if I book an Airbnb and the host does not respond to me within 30 minutes or 40 of booking, making a booking of my Airbnb, I cancel my booking because I'm like, this person has put a business online and they don't even bother to check if someone has booked their facility. So it is the part of this trend is that when you are online, you have to be found online. You have to be instant because you are online. It's the purpose of being online. This generation wants to be provided with more than just accommodation. So they want to discover local places. They want to do local things. And they also want to have the opportunity to see before they travel. This is what we call the virtual and augmented realities. So you will find that a lot of places this day will post videos showing you even the room, how the room it looks like. I've seen a lot of young people do that with their Airbnb facilities today and show you even what the okay. So you can see my slide now. Okay. So it's gone, yeah?
Is
it back?
I think it's here. We just need to pin it back. We can pin it for everyone. Lucia, you can do that because I can see it.
You can see it?
Yeah, millennial trend and Elisha.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lucia, you can pin it for everyone.
Done.
Okay, so can I continue?
Yes, you can continue.
Okay,
and before that, there is maybe a point of concern from Zanirani. He's saying that we revisit the talking points, but we can do that maybe at the far end.
Okay. Talking points, we are now at the point where we are talking trends.
Yeah. So maybe we'll touch on that at the end. Okay.
Okay, fine. I'll try and go through the slides quickly so that we can find time to revisit. So one of the millennial trends today is that they travel for business and leisure. So you find that when millennials are traveling for business, they try to add a day before or 2 days after business to be able to enjoy place. So if they find a place that combines, offers a combination of that so that they have less time to research for leisure after looking for a place where they can do business, then that will be better off for them. So what does that mean? It means that when you are communicating your offers, you should be able to provide information in one place. As you provide information for a regular holiday maker, make sure there is things that you mention, like say that this place also offers, right? This place also offers business opportunities like a meeting room. You can have high-speed Wi-Fi and other services that can enable you to hold virtual meetings and working spaces, so that the person booking knows that, oh, if I book this package with Judy, the places that Judy Tours is offering, or Judy's whatever package is offering, it's not just holiday. I have all this beach and I have all this beautiful, but if I need to run into a virtual meeting, I know there is high-speed Wi-Fi. I know that there is dedicated spaces where I can go and have a full professional meeting. And after the meeting, I can run down to the beach and still have my fun. So leisure means business and leisure. So millennials are trying to combine as much as possible business and leisure. Remember, we said they are high spenders, so they have the money. So how do you attract them? You need to interact with millennials. What I've said just now is part of interacting with them, giving them more information so that they don't have to look for information everywhere. And when they communicate, you should be available to communicate back, right? They want to feel like they're talking with someone who understands them. This is what we mean by approach them as equals. They want to feel like they're talking with someone who understands them, who knows their needs, and they will not have to be asking too many questions for their expectations to be fulfilled. And they want you to offer genuine contact with the locals. They are not the generation that stood on the sides and were pointed to and were told, we are now passing a market. We are now passing the ruins of so-and-so. That is what happened in this particular place. And so you stop by and tell them, you can take a picture of the market. That is not what this generation wants. This generation wants you to take them, allow them to go into the market and explore the market and get the experience themselves, other than just being told. We say that they are not the show and tell generation. They are the see and do generation. So tourism has moved from show and tell to see and do, and this is what this generation is all about. So you need to do certain things to attract them. I will not go much into this detail, but you've got to offer real experiences. You have to focus on more activities, diverse activities. You must focus on comfort. Remember, there is a difference between comfort and luxury. They're not necessarily luxurious travelers, but they want comfort. And then they want what is called flash packing. We all know what backpacking is, yeah? Backpacking is probably the lowest level of a tourism traveler, the one who travels around, finds a cheap place to sleep. They never book their accommodation in their advance. Most of the time, they have all their stuff in their back with their bag. That's why they're called backpackers. But the millennials are flash packers, and that's what we mean by they need a little bit more comfortable. So instead of sleeping in that hostel, the millennial traveler traveling on a budget will probably be looking for a motel or an Airbnb, a place that's a little bit more comfortable than backpacking. I have a question for David and Kenneth. Is this detail important?
Yes, it's important.
Okay. Yeah. I want to remain relevant to my audience. Yeah. So we're still continuing on other things on how to attract millennials. We say millennials want you to offer them a purpose. What do I mean by that? It means that they want something that they can identify with. That's why we say they want ability, offer them ability to do good, offer them ability to offer solutions. Now, in the past, the tourism industry just offered them opportunities to volunteer as a way of a purpose that for you to feel good and do good during your travel, you can volunteer. But today they are asking for more than volunteering. They are asking whether they can contribute to an anti-FGM program. You can introduce them to forestry, reforestation program. You can introduce them to what do we call now? We have in Kenya, we have now introduced the elephant naming, what do we call it? Tembo what? KTB introduced the elephant naming program. That's a purposeful initiative. So if you are bringing your millennials to Kenya during that time, you can include that as part of the program, that they can go and witness the tembo naming ceremony. In Rwanda, they've had it for a long time. They call it the Kwita Izina, which was the naming ceremony for the gorillas. So they want to have a meaningful travel, not just the holiday and the leisure. And it's almost an element of give back, so that they feel like their travel made a difference. They need a lot of information, so give as much information. We have said it. They want you to be active on social media. That is what they know. That is how they build trust. This generation builds trust. They know you are authentic, you exist, you are real. Not that when they go to, they're booking a holiday with you in 2022. When they go to your social media pages, your last post was in 2019. And you're telling them that you are actively selling tourism packages, or you are going to offer them an experience, they will not believe you. They want to see that when they're booking their holiday today on 15th of September, 2022, they want to see that 2 days ago, you made a post on an experience that your group or your last group had with a package that you had offered. They want to see you active on travel blogs. Where are you communicating your knowledge? Who are you sharing knowledge with? And how are you sharing your knowledge? Are you giving your travelers an opportunity to write about yourself? Is there a feedback page that where your clients can blog about their experiences traveling with you? Because they use that to evaluate you, what others are saying about you. So if you're not active on social media, chances are very low that these travelers will find you. Another trend, we're still talking about trends. We're now talking about trends in consumer preferences. One of the trends post-COVID-19 is what we call the rise of adventure travel. Adventure travel includes a lot of physical activity. People want to be in the natural environment. Plus, they want to have some cultural immersion. Why are people doing this? This adventure travel trend is on the rise because of the risks that are associated with pandemics like COVID-19. And the world does not know what will happen next. So travelers are trying to optimize their travel. So when they go on holiday, they want to optimize it. They want to learn much about the natural environment. They want to do activities, physical activities, because these activities enable them to collect memories. And they want cultural immersion to also collect memories. So should I not travel again because there will be a global lockdown for 5 years? I traveled and I made good memories. And what does that mean? Adventure travel means that people are taking longer in the destinations than they used to take before. They're spending more time in the places that they are visiting. So if your packages are the old safari packages where you can only have them for 3 nights and 1 day, then you have lost this traveler. Because this traveler, I didn't put in that statistic, but they say that Africa's packages are mainly short packages of 7 days. It had started growing into 14 days, but now most people are traveling for between 10 and 21 days. And to keep that traveler engaged, you really have to have some dynamic good packages. And that's why this trend of adventure travel is growing. They want a bit of physical activity, natural environment, cultural immersion, and then they will finish it maybe with a rest on the beach so that they can recover a little bit before they go back to work. So adventure travelers are really looking for unique experiences. They want to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, Mount Kenya. They want to go on a special bird watching expedition for 5 days, maybe Arabuko Sokoke. I don't know who offers bird watching in Arabuko Sokoke, but I think it's an unexploited tourism potential. There's a very unique group of travelers, niche travelers who are bird watchers. So they want some things that are very unique that will earn them a little bit of, give them a little bit of challenge in terms of physical activity. So tracking, that's why for those of us who are observing, Uganda and Rwanda's tourism has grown significantly. And where has it grown significantly? Because the adventure travelers are finding gorilla tracking very attractive. It's a physical activity, it's demanding on them, but at the end, when you get face to face with these gorillas, you get some sense of fulfillment. And then when they have done that, they go on a regular safari. They also have the Big 5 safari. Then they end up in Entebbe, in a nice hotel on the lakefront, and then they fly out of Entebbe. And because tracking already is a program that can take a few days if it is properly organized, Uganda is today experiencing travelers that are staying longer than we have visitors in Kenya. And now, if you read literature on tourism in this region, you will see that Uganda's tourism is growing very fast because adventure travelers are on the rise. So what can we offer as adventure travel in this region with what we have? Because this group is looking for unique experiences. Okay, they are influenced online and by friends and family. By what others have experienced before, and they do more direct bookings. Because of the uniqueness of their travel and they want it to be customized in certain ways, they do more direct bookings and don't use a lot of OTAs or online travel agents. This is just to emphasize that unique experiences can be small, they can be creative, and they can combine fun, adventure, and nature at the same time. Okay? These are just more examples of unique experiences, can come from offering local food, being in contact with local people for different things, and even just using local transportation, like the tuk-tuk that we have here in the coast region mainly. I know they're in other parts of Kenya, but they're mainly in this part of the world. So unique experiences can be extended to your own bird watching today and bird tracking, because there are apps that will help you to identify the bird through recording the sound of that particular bird. And you can create your own route that you want to use during your travel. So technology is very, very important for these people. There are apps that are helping the adventure traveler to get around, to know what they want, to know where they are, and know what experience they can get. We're still talking technology. Sorry, Just go back a little bit. So we're still talking the significance of technology for this particular group. Another travel trend that we should be watching for, which is transforming, it has been here with us, is ecotourism and wildlife tourism. Please ignore that adventure tourism. Ecotourism and wildlife tourism is still growing. Why is this a trend today? Wildlife tourism is a trend because many of our big mammals are threatened. And now people are traveling for what we call last chance travel. Like, I have a last chance to see the southern white rhino. I have a last chance to see this. I have a last chance. And you know, there's been talk about the elephant and the poaching and the populations going down, the lions and the cheetah and the leopard. So wildlife tourism has gotten a new meaning altogether, not just the big five. For some people, it has now become last chance travel. Yeah, since we lost the last southern white rhino in the world, the one that was in Olpajita Conservancy, there's a spike in wildlife tourism. Like, let's see them before they disappear. And Generation Z, the ones who have watched a lot of movies around dinosaurs, are saying, oh my, these things might disappear and we will just see them in movies like we are seeing dinosaurs. If we can travel, we will travel to go and see them. And that has been a boost for wildlife travel in Eastern and Southern Africa, and also some Asian countries to see the tiger, and in the north for the bears. We know that the bears are being threatened by a different threat, which is climate change. And so wildlife tourism to go and see the bears in the North Pole is actually been triggered by climate crisis, because people are like, we'll see them for the last time before they completely disappear in our lifetime. Okay? Those are markets, so I won't go into that detail. I won't also go into that detail, but just it's important that there are certain things that are becoming parts of nature tourism and not just wildlife tourism. Nature tourism today, people are interested in the sky. In the tourism industry, it's called the dark sky tourism. And people are traveling for the moon, people are traveling for the sunset, people are traveling for the stars. And in Kenya, we've got lodges in northern part of Kenya where you can stay under the stars. They're called the star beds. You sleep in an open space with an open sky, so you can see the stars throughout the night. There's no roof on top of it. It is a niche market, but it is growing very fast, the dark sky tourism, wanting just to see what happens in the sky throughout the night. So people travel like to Norway to go and see the, not just the midnight sun, but they also go travel for the galaxy because they want to see what happens to the sky, the stars, and everything. And so these are also areas not just for the travelers, but also if you want to build your skills as a guide in this particular area, it's something that we should start teaching in our tourism schools, because it's an area where people are looking at, it is growing, and the interpretation of it is very important. So we need to build skills around dark sky tourism as a destination. So when you are doing travel opportunities related to nature, you think about the diversity of activities, lands, the different trails and tours and different times. Think about sustainability and avoid areas that are overcrowded. That's what we call over tourism. Okay. Another trend that we are seeing today is what is called the multi-generational tourism. Multi-generational tourism includes 3 generations traveling. So you see parents, children, and grandparents. Sometimes they are joined by other family members. These people have very unique travel needs. They are the ones who are probably utilizing high-end Airbnb. It's interesting that some of the big brands, I think the Hilton is a big accommodation brand in the world. The Hiltons are now investing in luxurious Airbnb. They are not calling them Airbnb, they're calling them condos. From building 100 beds hotels to finding unique places in rural areas to put up accommodation that can take a whole family for this kind of multi-generational travel, and so that they feel comfortable being together and are not scattered all over in the place, and they can remain close and have their privacy, and they can join, the rooms can be joined for dinner. You know, those unique things, the same things that we do with families. But we must also then offer them activities for the young travelers, because they travel with kids. You offer facilities for the older ones, and you offer services and facilities for the parents, the millennials as well. So it's a combination of Generation X, millennials, and Generation Z traveling together. That's a very complicated package to put together, right? Because the generation that drives the decision making for this multi-gen travel in tourism is the Y and Z. The children and the parents are the ones who drive the decisions. We already talked about them. Now we've got another trend in travel, which is called niche products. And I'm going to talk about niche products that are based on sustainability in tourism. We've got what is called wellness tourism. People are traveling to experience wellness in different places. I think the Asian countries are the best at this so far. We have all seen that our hotels are now offering, each one of them has, even in the lodges, you have a spa where guests can go and relax, can get different kinds of body treatments, of different kinds of massages done professionally. So it's another area that can be offered outside of a traditional setting of a hotel. I've had a chance to travel to India to an Ayurveda retreat where you are not supposed to use your phone. You can check your communication once in a day for just 30 minutes. And the rest of the time, you're not with your phone. It's a place of quietness. It's got yoga. It's got, so depending on your package, 7 days, 14 days, 21 days or more, you can do a lot of detoxing. And the place is booked throughout the year. And all you have is silence and space. They sell silence and space. It's quiet, the birds, the trees, the flowers, the plants, the grass, and rooms where you can have your yoga and other things and massage. And then you have the meals are all, it's all so you that food is the availability of a health professional. If there's time created for health consult, and this is big time tourism, wellness tourism. This particular place is not connected to any hotel, but they have their own accommodation. About the wellness can also be, it can be exclusive like what I have described, but it can also be parts of something else that can be coming out very well as a wellness dinner, particularly for yoga. So the Lamu yoga festival, yoga Lamu, and whatever uniqueness, things that they have put for that particular program and festival. But I have not seen wellness centers like the one that I described in India. I know of my friends who have gone for wellness in Malaysia, almost the same concept. The ones in Malaysia are connected to medical facilities where if you go there and go through this program and talk to a doctor and do your checks, if there's need for you to have further medical checkup, they are connected to hospital. So wellness travel that is connected to health is also growing very, very fast. Now, traditional massage systems, today our massage schools are offering Chinese massage, Japanese massage, but you rarely hear Giriama massage or I don't know what, Swahili massage and all that. Why aren't we promoting our own? We also had specialists in our communities. They are called different names in different communities, where people went when their joints were aching, where somebody had a twisted knee or something like that. And they would do different kinds of body massages. So I'm just saying that we have not exploited wellness tourism based on our indigenous knowledge, but it is a growing niche market in the tourism industry. Cultural tourism is still niche. I want to give a disclaimer why somebody might ask, why am I using all these photos that are probably not from here? It's something that you should know as you start working in the tourism industry, that today there is people's consent for the use of their photos. So the photos that have been used in this presentation are those photos that you get out of those websites like iStock and others that allow you, or even Canva, that they're free to use photos. So somebody cannot accuse you of infringing on their rights for having used that photo, because you can go and say, I found it on a website that said it was free to use. So when you're doing your brochures and you're communicating tourism, remember that today you cannot just use anybody's photo that shows their face if they did not give you consent. So when you want consent, today when you go to meetings, you create a form, you ask people to give you the right to use their voice and to use their images. Otherwise, it can be a big issue. So that's why I have not Kenyan or Maasai or Mombasa or Kisumu or Turkana photos, because much of those photos, you don't find them online. They're not free to use. So yes, cultural tourism is part of niche tourism. It's growing because of the need for immersion. You remember I mentioned that adventure travelers like to immerse in culture. They want to live like local. They want to learn a local skill. So cultural tourism has gone beyond dancing and performance. People don't want to just come and say that, oh, cultural tourism, let's put on our handles because we are Giriamas and go and dance. And that is cultural tourism, or provide a few entertainers in their hotel or your restaurant and say that that is cultural tourism. That is cultural performance, which is a small part of cultural tourism. But today, travelers want to immerse. They want to live like locals. They want to know what it is like. What do these people eat? What happens when they wake up in the morning? How do local communities receive benefits from my visit? How do I create bonds with this community? Can I understand how the women live? Can I sit with the women for a few minutes and talk to them about women and their lives and how they live? Understand how girls are treated in this particular community, understand their respect systems, understand their, what is it called? But the patriarchy of this society, who is the elder of this community, who becomes an elder and how can they become an elder? People want to learn more. People want stories. People want storytelling about culture, and listen and be partakers of events that are happening in that community. I have been involved in the UNWTO Best Villages Initiative, which is an award program for villages that have preserved their traditional lifestyles and are sharing them with the rest of the world. Every time I go through those applications, most of them are in China, they're in Asia. You don't find, I think for once there was a village in Amboseli that won this award last year. But if I compare to what I see in those applications, I ask myself, do we truly have villages in Kenya that still maintain traditional lifestyles? They enjoy it, have what they need for today. They can still have electricity, they can still have water, but they are maintaining up to 80% of their traditional lifestyles and can share it. They still go to school, they still do business, they're still making money, but the women are there making traditional food every day. I think most of you on social media will see that there are some communities from Korea, women that have got millions of followers on social media because every day they document their lives. And I will show later on when I'm talking about how to make money, revenue streams, they document how they go and pick the foods from the farm and they prepare them and cook it and put it on the table. And just by being followed, they have become social media influencers. Maybe their children are doing this for them and putting it online, but they're also benefiting from it. And all that they're doing is showing their traditional dress, their traditional food. And they do it almost every day, cooking anything, cooking everything that is traditional. So cultural tourism is still a niche that needs to be exploited. I won't talk about Blasia because I've already mentioned Blasia. Solo women travel. This is one of the travel areas that is growing very significantly. And what is most important about solo women travel is that you must prove safety and security. But there's a large group of women that are traveling solo for self-discovery, just to be alone by themselves. They have money, they have careers, they are professionals, and they just want to travel by themselves. They're also looking for adventure and luxury because they want a bit of comfort and security for themselves. So there are people who target this kind of travelers because at the end of the day, they travel alone, but during travel, they meet other people and they make new friends and they make new business contacts and they meet other professionals. I don't see a lot of solo women travel in Kenya. Our products and services are not yet designed for them. Now, what is ecological tourism and how is it different from wildlife tourism? Wildlife tourism is what we call our safari tourism. Ecological tourism is tourism to discover, right? Tourism to discover. We've got very unique experiences that are educative. The tracking of gorillas is more than wildlife tourism. It is actually ecological tourism. Throughout that trip, there's a lot of education and there's a lot of learning that goes on. And you find that there's a program behind the gorilla protection. So you won't just go and see the gorilla, you will probably pass through a gorilla conservation center as part of your experience to go and track the gorillas. You will learn about gorilla tracking and how they're keeping them safe. You learn about the families and all those kind of stuff. The same way you can go Amboseli elephant that has been there. I think now it's celebrated its 50th anniversary. That is an ecological tour where you can go with them. You can go to the center. They'll tell you the story. They have all the elephants by name. So as you go out, you will be able to be shown, this is the family of so-and-so. We are now seeing the daughter of so-and-so. We are now seeing this is deep, this is immersive, this is educational, this is transformative. So ecological tourism is transforming safari tourism. The ones who want to offer a bigger experience, a higher, a different level of experience, are moving away from just safari to ecological tourism. And this can happen For mountains, ecological tourism can happen for a lake or a river and its protection. It can happen with our whales here at the coast. It can happen with our, what are they called, turtles here at the coast, that we go on a very unique and rare experience with the mangrove planting, with crab farming. These are ecological tours, and they're growing, and this market is niche. Niche means that these people are few, yeah? They are few, they are willing to pay more for their experiences. They do not lack crowds. They have all the time to learn and interact with what they are doing. Now we've got another group that is called the FIT. This is another trend. Now FIT, if you were to go online, it will mean different, it will be described differently in different places. But basically these are independent. The standard word is independent. Fully independent traveler. But what we're saying is that there are people who are traveling alone, whether they are men or they're women or they're people of other gender, but they are traveling independently. Some people say that this group likes to book everything by themselves. So they need to find you online, and you need to make it possible for them to book everything by themselves. They don't have to want to go through any service provider. And when they come to the ground, they will look for their own services. They will use their Ubers. They will rent a car at the airport. They are free, independent travelers. I don't want to go much into this. I want to talk a little bit about this because of time. Consumer demands, I think booking behavior, allow me to talk about this and part of other trends. That's increasingly people are booking things online. So if you're online, you will be found. If you're not there, you will not be found. Bookings are being done without human interaction. So nobody wants to pick the phone and call you. They just want to be able to communicate with you and book their holidays or whatever it is. Customers are comfortable researching, booking, and planning their entire trip to a new travel destination on a mobile device. What does that say? Whatever programs you have must be mobile friendly, because a lot of us are getting people to design for us things and write things for us and websites. But when somebody opens it on a mobile phone, it doesn't work. It's not mobile friendly. So people are doing things on their mobile phone. Always remember that they must be mobile friendly, right? There's a lot of last minute booking. They are on the rise. People find an opportunity and they want to travel. This idea of, there's still a generation, maybe Generation Y will still plan for in advance, but Generation Z are last minute bookings. So always update what you are providing to be as current as possible for the last minute traveler, not to miss on the opportunities that you are offering. And travelers are likely to book from personalized information. Personalized information, we are talking about artificial intelligence. You know how you book on the artificial intelligence work? It tracks you, it knows you. And the moment you start booking, it starts bringing you different things to try and see the person that you are and what is good for you. So artificial intelligence is playing a big role in this. I wouldn't finish my discussion on trends without telling you that there is global concern for climate change and negative impacts of travel. So if your package or offer or service is perceived in any way to be contributing to climate crisis or has negative impacts on people or on any aspect of the planet, then you will lose a big portion of the conscious tourism travelers. These are the travelers who want to ask questions where there is something that remains in the community, what you do with your plastic, what you do with your waste. Are you saving water? Are you using clean energy? Are you using plastic, or you have discarded plastic? This is that group of travelers. So there's that big, huge concerns, so don't ignore them because their decision is influenced. And we are told that today, up to 70% of travelers at the beginning in only don't.
Sorry, Judy. We can't hear you well.
Go. Even in prison, people in.
Hello.
I think we lost Judy.
Yes.
Yeah, but maybe as she's coming back. So Judy, if you are if you manage to join up, you let me know. Yeah, I think it's no connection. My experience, so maybe I also share a bit of my experience as a travel agent. I think for me, what I used to see a lot is tourism works a lot with how did you make me feel the last time either you hosted me or I traveled with you. And so it could be as little things as when I made a booking, I told you I'm a vegetarian, for example. And then when I come to with you, then there's beef and all fish and chicken in the meals or something. So did you remember that, things like that? How was the travel? Maybe I gave you information and then you did not capture it during my stay. Or, for example, when you make the booking, you probably indicate your date of birth and anniversary and things like that. And I always see that when you host the client, and then you remember that actually coincidentally, the time they spent with you was their birthday, and you organize something. It might even cost you 500 shillings or 1,000 bob, and it's a surprise birthday, and you offer the client that cake or something. Little things. And so they always remember how was the feeling the last time they traveled with you. Because I saw that a lot of our guests came from people coming to travel with us. We call that repeat clients. Or they came and traveled with us and they refer their people to come and travel with us, or we call them referral. And there's no shortcut about it. You must put service above everything else. If your service is above everything else, you will not struggle with the kind of clientele. I have been in places, for example, I'm in a restaurant, the waiter comes with the bill, and of course I have had a nice meal, and then I pay the bill. But there's a way in which you see the waiter is not going away. Yeah? Either he or she is waiting for the tip. And you can always tell. You can't hide such things. You say, tip. So then it looks like a coercion. It's like it's mandatory. As much as it's discretionary. Like it's like the way I feel how you treated me, then I should be able to tip. Normally it's like 10%, maybe 10% of the bill that you pay. So it's little things. And then you try to collect feedback so that the feedback that you have, that you get from the client that you have now, you use it to improve the experience of the other guest, because there's always opportunity for improvement. And so for me, that occasion when you have that client, make sure you go out of all your way and just give them a good experience. So I was covering up for Judy, but I don't know in terms of what we learned today. Are there any questions that when Judy comes back, then we can easily shoot them to her. Who has any questions so far? You unmute and then we can record it. Ali Tambo, Monica Mwaura, Omai Wilfred, Nini, Kenga Maida, Sheikh Lu. Who has a question? Any question? Because this is an opportunity for us to get something that maybe was not clear. So maybe a clarification. And because Judy is really top person. Yes, Kenga? You are muted. So if you unmute, then you...
Okay, unanipata?
Nakupata vizuri sana.
Sawa sawa, naongea kutoka Dabaso Creek Conservation. Yeah, kulikuwa kuna hii topic hii ya wakati akiendelea huyo madam.
Yeah.
Mambo na ecological tourism.
Okay.
Na nikaona there is an opportunity hapa kwetu kwa sababu we have several activities ambazo huwa zinafanyika. Aswa hii mambo na crab farming na hii mambo na mangrove planting na kidogo mambo na bird watching. So nikawa wakati tukiendelea sikupata vizuri, but kama kutakuwa na wakati aweze kutuelezea tu kidogo kuhusu mambo na ecological tourism ili tupate ufahamu kidogo, ili kama kuna kitu ambacho tunaweza kuapply na kikaongeza pengine hata mambo na ile utalii ambao tunautegemea hapa.
Okay. That's a very good question. It's a good question. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other?
Okay, halafu
yes.
Kabla kuna hiyo mambo na hii kulikuwa kuna sehemu nyingine kuhusu mambo na cultural tourism. Naona upande wetu Bwana David, nafikiri unajua Dabaso vizuri sana.
Kabisa naijua.
Okay, but there is another island ambayo iko hapa within Mida Creek ambayo sasa hizi mambo na cultural kama zinaweza kufuatiliwa kwa kina, maana najua wewe uko na utaalamu kidogo ambao pengine kuna vitu ambavyo zinaweza kuwa ni opportunities fulani ambazo zinaweza kufanya watu wakapata ajira ama amongst our communities wakapata kuona kuna mapato fulani kupitia kwa hao watalii ambao wanapitia hapa kwetu Crab Shack.
So is that the island when you are in your restaurant you can see it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
So maybe kama utakuwa
So the issue is what kind of activities can be introduced or something. But now you are doing boat ride, yeah?
Yeah, we are doing boat ride and hiyo mambo na bird watching. So tukiwa watu wafanya tunaweza kuintroduce a trip from our premise hapa Crab Shack mpaka kwa hiyo island, mradi tu kuwa kuna vitu ambavyo vinaweza kuboreshwa na ikawa inajaribu kuongeza hata utalii.
Okay.
Asante.
Right. I think that also aligns with the ecological bit.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kenga. Those ones are good questions and we can ask.
Asante. Nilikuwa nikifuatilia tu ni zenye zile slides sikuzipata vizuri zingine, but naipata iko na umuhimu sana hii the training.
Asante. We'll try and get the slides and then we can be able to share with all of us.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'll be very grateful.
Yeah. I think there was somebody who raised that issue sometimes here.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. Anyone else?
There is Ali Tambo.
Yes.
Yes, Ali.
I have an issue. I am late today, but exactly I wanted, if possible, to the tutor to help me with this kind of tourism, because I only had wilderness tourism, wildlife tourism, cultural tourism, ecological tourism. But I don't know whether there were other types of tourism that I have not covered already. I'm expecting from the Madam Judy to clarify more so that I can know everything concerning this tourism and hospitality factor. Thanks.
Okay, so she can maybe go over the different aspects of tourism. Is that?
Yeah, if possible.
Okay. Maybe Mr. Ken, you had all the classes of tourism, yeah? You want to help Ali Tambo? How unakuwa na la class?
He was following up, and I heard that Madam was asking whether there is an ecotourism project maybe going on at the Arabuko Sokoke. So I just wanted to confirm to her that there's a very good and a very professional project going on. The bird guides who are at Arabuko Sokoke. They are doing a very good job. They also take their guests to Nida Creek, to the places where we are. So I just wanted to confirm to her that there are some guys who are doing the ecotourism thing at the Arabuko Sokoke Forest.
Okay, thank you so much. Ali Tambo, please, now you can come in. You can unmute and ask your question. Unmute, please. Okay. Before they ask their question, then we can go to Maxwell Kenga. Maxwell Kenga.
Okay, how are you guys?
Hi, how are you?
Okay, niko salama tu. I was just following whatever Jude was just talking, and I found that there's some things which the starting group cannot do. They are beyond them. Something to do with maybe if they're able to have vehicles so that they can transport the tourism, or something to do with maybe booking for the tourists to come to their hotels.
Yeah.
I think these groups, they're just starting, then it will be very difficult to be doing that to the tourists themselves.
Okay. Ali Tambo, your hand is still up. You have a question? You can unmute, Ali. You're muted.
Mine is I have said clear later. Sorry, earlier that I haven't. I came late in the for the class.
Okay.
So I wanted to something from the start, whether the type of tourism that you have mentioned earlier.
Oh.
What I grasped was tourism, cultural tourism, photo tourism, wildlife tourism, and ecological tourism. So if there's other tourism
types,
other tourism, I would like to get them so that I can copy with you.
Okay, that's okay. So you can lower your hand, Maxwell. You can also lower your hand. We have Dennis Ali. Dennis Ali.
Thank you. At Tamaduni, we focus the family unit. So I'd be interested to know from Madame, from her experience. She's well traveled. Whether experience in terms of facilities or that can be offered to families and that can be attractive to families, in terms of amusement parks or parks? I mean, what is the experience? What does she know? Just want to tap on our knowledge on that kind of activities which we do offer at Tamaduni.
Okay.
Thank you. And the other thing, sorry, is will we have a recording of this meeting today?
Sorry, repeat the second question again.
A recording of the discussion.
Yeah, we'll give you. The thing is right.
Yeah, we can tap on. I can listen to any part that more careful on any part.
Okay. So also for early Tambo, you'll get the recording, so you can be able to see what you might have missed.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Any other questions? Any other question? Maybe not a question. Anyone with a comment about today's training as we continue? Anyone with a comment? Yes.
I think, Ken, we have Judy is back. Judy, are you back?
Yes,
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe you just take Judy through. I don't know whether we lost you at some point. Maybe it was a internet connection.
I think my internet collapsed and I didn't even notice, so I kept talking until
Pole.
yeah.
Sorry. So Ken, if you can share with Judy the questions, and then if we just wrap up, this session on tourism.
Okay, so there was a question from Dennis from Tamaduni in Kilifi. He was asking any advice on the facilities that can be attractive to families because their business majorly works to attract local tourists who are majorly families.
Advice on those who are attracting families.
Facilities that can attract families.
Facilities that attract families must be facilities that are safe. Families travel is mainly multi-generational. So you'll find parents, grandparents, and children. You must have facilities that are accessible for older people. So if you're offering a facility that is on 5th floor, you must be, and there's no lift to get to 5th floor, and this is where your room or whatever you're offering is, then you know that you are probably not very comfortable for the older generation. You need to have a place where kids can play. If it's multi-generational travel, whether this is a swimming pool, whether this is an outdoor where they can run around, where they can kick a ball, because you can't keep them indoors throughout if you're offering products that are targeting families. Sometimes when you're offering products targeting families, you need to include alternative services that are not included in the package. Like if I'm traveling with young kids to go out to the beach all together and swim, you might say that we have nanny services. You know, somebody that can stay with the kids, trusted and you must tell them that these people have been vetted and verified so that the nannies you're offering are dependable. So there's a lot of things that you need to think about when you're thinking about offering a family holiday destination. Safety and security is good for them. They like to know that there is access to medical facilities not too far away from them. They have a medical emergency, that it is possible. Very good.
Oh, yes, climate change. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you lost
Well
me
done.
away.
Well done. You've saved us.
You didn't hear anything on revenue streams?
No. I think you are at a point in which you are looking at sustainable tourism, issues with climate change, and this is a global concern. Yeah.
Oh gosh, that was, then I talked to myself for such a long time.
We can imagine.
I did talk to one time. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back there.
Yes.
Is that where you are?
Yes. Yeah. That was it. But before you start, maybe I wanted to ask Ken, because we have another session that is meant to start. So Ken, how is the wildlife session?
So we 10 minutes to the end of this session, then we get to the next session.
So 10 minutes, huh?
Yes.
All right. Really, we sympathize. Yeah.
I'm gonna run through this. I think this was clear. That remember that there is a traveling population that is very conscious about negative impacts of travel, and also climate change. So when they're making bookings through your information, they would want to hear what your commitments are towards minimizing negative impacts of travel. They also want to hear whether you have taken note and made a declaration, or you're aware and have said that you are aware of climate crisis and that you are working towards certain targets as a business towards the same. If they don't see any of this in the communication that they first interact with on your site, they will just leave. And it is a sizable size of the market. Booking.com, one of the largest booking online travel agents, tells us that 70% of travelers will look for this information and making their transactions online. So that you are dealing with a traveler who is environmentally conscious, but also very, very socially conscious to know how tourism is impacting in nation. I talked about the growth of the shared economy. Airbnb, because of the time we have, but the growth of the shared economy is huge, and Airbnb is growing very fast. The opportunities are a lot of capital. Idle capital are unutilized tourism resources, and that is what Airbnb tapped into. That people had extra rooms in their houses that they were not regularly using. Children had left home, and now you could put an extra mattress there and offer it to a guest. It has moved from being basic, because it started with an air mattress. That's why it's called Airbnb. It was an air mattress for bed and breakfast. But today it has moved into luxury space. And I did mention that big brands are going into that space as well today. So look around and find out whether you have idle capital around you. Maybe you come from a place where family members have built houses. They stay in the city and they only come for funerals and weddings and end of the year. You can ask them if you can manage those places for them to get a revenue out of it and become a host. You become a host of those beds. You can sell rooms, or you can sell the entire house. You can sell bed only. This is the beauty of Airbnb. You don't want to bother yourself with many things. Just sell bed only. People take care of everything else by themselves. So yes, let's make use of idle capital in the tourism industry. I will go quickly through this. I talked a lot here. I thought people were listening, but now you can hear me. Am I still on air?
Yes,
Yeah.
you are. Yes,
Okay. Okay. So let's look at how revenues are raised in the tourism industry. The most common way of raising revenue is through commissions, where you, as a tour operator, you can design travel packages, and then you sell them to travel agents who take them to the market for a commission, or you can design and sell them directly. Sometimes people ask what's the difference between a tour operator and a travel agent. Now, a tour operator is the one who puts together all aspects of a tour package. They design it from scratch and put it together and call it a package. A travel agent is the one who sells what a tour operator has put together. Plus, you will find that sometimes they do sell tickets. In Kenya, this distinction is not made too much. We all think that travel agents are the ones who sell tickets only, and the tour operators is the one who sells the packages. In reality, in tourism, the operator is the one who designs, the agent is the one who takes that package to the market, the ground handler is the one who actualizes that particular package. In Kenya, we find that one tour company does all these things and it's combined. Now, in the traditional sense, it would mean that the tour operator would only be earning commissions. So if that package is sold by a travel agent, it says, if I'm giving you a package that is worth $3,000, my commission is 35% of that. Then whatever you do with it in the market and you put it out there, and the ground handlers is your business, provided you give me my 35% and I'm able to pay it backwards. So it's a whole complex system of commissions in the travel and tourism industry. And so if you get into that space, make sure you understand so that you don't burn your fingers, because you might enter into a long-term deal and the commissions were too low. And then you find it difficult to pull out and you run through losses. Access fee, we all know the parks charge entry fee. That's a good example of access fee. But you can also charge access fee in different places. You can create a theme park and charge access fee. You can create, you can have a community village, tourism village, and you can charge access fee for people to come into your village. The Maasais do it with the cultural manyasas. They charge a fee as a revenue stream, and then they showcase their culture in there. Another way in which you can earn revenues tourism is through hosting experiences. Now, I like to differentiate the way I've talked about travel agent and tour operator. I like to differentiate between hosting an experience and providing a service to travelers. When you're hosting an experience, something that is a talent, is a gift, is a tradition, is something that is with the person who is offering it. And most of the time, you don't need a third party to do it. And if a third party were to do it, they wouldn't do it the way you do it, right? So, for example, I can be from the host, and I can host experience of cooking Swahili foods. Because I have been born in this culture, I know what it takes and how it is done and why the flavors are important and why it is important to put this before that and all those kind of things. When you do that, you're hosting an experience. Now, the beauty of it is that platforms like Airbnb and even now Booking.com are allowing individuals who have gifts and talents and traditions that they want to share to package them and put them on these platforms. And so I can be coming to Mombasa and I can book a day of, or half day of Swahili food cooking by going to the Airbnb website, looking for cooking experiences in Mombasa. I find you right there. I book with you, you confirm, you tell me where you will meet, where I will come to and all that. And I know that when I come, this is what I will experience, and it will be for 2 hours or it will be for 3 hours. That's the difference with your traditional tours, right? So an experience is hosted because the person has the gift, the knowledge, it's part of their heritage. Yeah. So I'll give you the example of cooking, of hosting yoga sessions or any other thing like that, or hosting a city tour, offering some classes or storytelling sessions about the traditions of the Giriama, about the clothing of the Giriama, about the food of the Giriama. I can just parade them and say, this food by the Giriama was called this and this, it comes from this and that, and it is made blah, 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 blah. These foods are made during this season or whatever. This is what happens pre-harvest, post-harvest, and all those kind of things. Now, those are experiences, all right? So you can earn revenue from experiences. You can earn revenue from enhancing a traveler's experience or a tour by adding additional things. And I always like to give this experience of shopping because it's something that I have experienced where local women groups organize themselves and talk to conference centers, and they talk to hotels, and they tell hotels, if you have conferences, we would like you to include us in your service offer so that we can offer shopping experiences to your clients. What does that mean? That I am busy, I am here for 4 days, I have a conference, it's so hectic. I know about Mombasa, I know about the deras, I know about the shukas, I know about other things, I know about the handles, but I have no time to go and look for these things. Yet I need to take them back as gifts, as the items of memory and all that. So these women will then go to the hotel and say, we can shop on behalf of your conference goers. They will tell us what they want. We will go out there and bring them. We will bring them to the hotel. They will choose what they want. They will buy and they will pay for it. Whatever they don't buy, we will take back. Now, this is something I have experienced in my travel, where we were offered shopping experiences if you want, not that you go and shop, you don't have time, and you have identified. There was even a catalog of the things that you could buy, the gift items and all that. And all that was for tourism to give back to the women in that particular community. And the women were so organized and were so super efficient and know how to look for quality, and they don't just buy anything. That is a unique area that I have not seen in this country, where tourism is trying to incorporate youth and women in enhancement of experience of the travelers. There are people who can take you on the nightlife of a city, those who love city life, particularly Generation Z. Generation Z would like to have somebody who will go out with them on the city life of Mombasa or Nairobi or wherever, and show them what are the hotspots and what happens there. And they do that, they take that kind of guide because they want to be safe, because that guide is providing another level of safety for them. We can make earn revenue from sales. This is standard. We can earn revenue from loyalty programs. I know we all know about loyalty programs. They bring us repeat clients, but not only that, these clients then tell others. Loyalty programs bring us more clients. And as they become comfortable, we also know that we can charge them premium prices. Let nobody lie to you. If you're a loyalty program member, you're always paying some kind of premium price very comfortably without complaining. Then we've got usage fees. You can provide boats, you can provide bicycles, you can provide binoculars, you can provide vehicles, safari vehicles for hire, and you're paid usage fee. Let me tell you what is happening in the Mara, Masai Mara today. You see 70% in the lodges in the Mara are keeping 1 or 2 safari vehicles because of the high cost of maintaining vehicles and running workshops and all those kind of things. What they do is that they hire vehicles from the community. Now, the Maasai learned this very early, particularly Generation Y and Z. And they sold part of their land, or some of them sold cows, and they bought second-hand Land Cruisers. They rehabilitated them into safari vans. Now, when it's high season in the Mara, a Land Cruiser in the Mara goes for 30,000 shillings a day. Between July and August, going into September, the young Maasai youth are hiring out Land Cruisers at 30,000 shillings a day, because they found that you can be a part of tourism revenue by charging usage fee. There's some places where people need bicycles to explore. You can have bicycles for hire to explore these particular places. Sometimes it can go down to items, like in a bird viewing area, there could be binoculars that are available for hire. It's a usage fee. It's an area of tourism enterprise that is not often explored, but the Maasai, the young youth in the Mara, discovered this avenue, and today, and I'm glad that I have worked with them for a long time in exploring how to integrate them in tourism. And this is one of the areas where they became integrated in tourism, earning usage fees in tourism. There's entertainment, different type of traditional performances by selling services to hotels and lodges and airports and all those kind of places for tourism events, conferences and meetings. Provide entertainment, and that's a revenue stream. The subscriptions, for example, golf clubs always charge membership fee. We can reinvent and also create places where we can charge membership fee. For example, those people who are communities that are doing turtle conservation and all those kind of things, there are innovative ways in which you can charge an equivalent of membership fee through the adoption programs. And you can open the adoption program into a tiered one, so that you can have one turtle that's been adopted by 5 or more people. Then, of course, we have our usual lodging fees. I won't go into deep into that. Then there is a licensing fee that is emerging with the creation of travel applications. People are using the tech space to earn revenue in tourism. Of course, events, you can get sponsorship, organize events. It's a revenue stream. And we know that people are actually have rights to certain events, different festivals. I've seen the Rusinga Festival grow. The Turkana Festival has grown significantly. The coast had rentals like Airbnb. And I also spoke about being travel influencers. Remember, I gave you the story of the women who are having their lifestyle document. These are the policies, some of ones in the tourism industry. You must be aware of them in the travel and tourism industry. If you are to operate in this industry, you have to make sure you know which one directly affects your issue and make sure that you comply. This information can be found in the Tourism Regulatory Authority's website, Ministry of Tourism website, and you can also join an association of operators in your area, which is a private sector organization, and you'll always get to know. In the coast, we've got the Kenya Coast Tourism Association, which includes handicraft makers, including the Akamba handicraft makers, the boat operators. So anybody can be a member of Kenya Coast Tourism Association, and you will get to know more about the regulations. But beware, it is important to be informed in advance and to always comply. I finish with the opportunities for funding, and this is traditional, we all know. In Kenya, we've got the Tourism Finance Corporation. So funding can come from a tourism investment fund, a Tourism Finance Corporation, which was exclusively a tourism fund. It can come from credit, where you get services in advance, and then you pay for them based on an arrangement. It can come from family and friends, traditional way in which many African small businesses are started. Sometimes there are organizations, development organizations that offer grants. It has happened a lot with wildlife tourism, where a grant has been offered for communities to build lodges or even to start and set up conservation areas. Sometimes funding can come from joint ventures. If you have little money and you need more, you can get a partner who has money that can top up, and so you enter into a joint venture. There's alternative financing that comes from social investors, things like crowdfunding and many other financial instruments that are available in the marketplace. We know the traditional bank loans, everybody knows about that. Then we've got public funds, like the public enterprise funds that we have in Kenya, the Youth Enterprise Fund and the Women Fund, and we've got our chamas and all this kind of stuff. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Judy. I never knew this will be very refreshing, especially also for me. I think you deserved 4 hours. Maybe you just needed to organize coffee somewhere and then you just keep going. Do we all agree Judy can come back again for another session? Yeah? You can, we can nod, not like this, good.
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. So Judy, there are a number of questions left. So maybe we will try and get them over to you. And also, majority are asking if you could share the PPT, because especially there are aspects like you mentioned, I think everything you mentioned, and then again you go to the policies. Some of those policies I think we need to review. Opportunities for funding, I think we need to again review. And so if you indulge us, then we'll be glad to have share within those who are in this meeting. Those sharing. But Judy, really thank you very much. So now we are moving to the next session, and it's 2 ways. First, I know we are our time is far much gone. So yes, so you're free to join in or you're free to leave. Yeah, I know you are pressed for time. You are inaugurating the new governor for Mombasa, so we don't want to hold you up here. Yes. So yeah, please feel free to leave, and then we'll be in touch.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone. Nice talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes. So for the rest of us, first I want to apologize. I think we went overboard. And if we can all agree that we can, I think we have eaten like 15 more minutes. Is that Ken? We was meant to set at 16:10, yeah?
Yeah.
About 10-15 minutes. So if we all agree, you give us, we'll go overboard by 15 more minutes. And this also applies to our guest, Confrey. Confrey, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. But I might not go beyond 5, but I'll make sure that the team is certified by my presence. So let's take it away and then see how it goes here.
Let's see how it goes. Okay. All right. So I want to welcome you to the session. I think we had planned your session to be just 1 hour. Judy's was 2 hours, so yours was meant to be the shorter hour. And so this is a class of Go Blue entrepreneurs. So there were different sectors we were looking at: fish handling, aquaculture, mariculture. And this is a very, very special group for me. They're in the tourism and wildlife and nature conservation. And again, those are areas that are very also special for me, because also my own background is in that areas. And so I am learning as much as I'm sharing. Confrey is a friend, has been in the conservation world for a long while. I think we've known each other for over 5-6 years. He's the innovation strategist from WWF. Probably all of us are aware of what is WWF. And there is a huge intersection, not even when you are in the tourism sector, wildlife tend always to overlap. So anyone in the tourism sector, you also realize that you also need to know a bit of wildlife conservation. And so this session for Confrey is not long, because again, I know we have taken quite a bit of time. And so take it away, Confrey.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, you can hear you. Can you see your face?
Yes, I am just making sure that I can be seen. Let me work on that camera. Where is it? Yes, there I am. Habari gani?
Salama.
Yeah, so I'm very nice to meet you all. I think we are, how many are we? Around 30 or 24 hours. So my name is Confrey Alianji. I work for the WWF. I'll share my screen so that you know what WWF does. WWF is a conservation organization. It's been in Kenya for a long time, actually, over 50 years. It's am I able to share?
You should, unless there's a challenge.
Yes, you should.
Okay, so tab, entire presentation, yeah. So WWF has been in Kenya for a long time, and then so we've been around. How do I share full screen? So we've been around for over 50 or 60 years. WWF was launched in Kenya in 1961 actually, and the very first thing they did was to protect Lake Nakuru National Park. So the land belonged to communities, so the organization bought it, and the species that was very famous in Nakuru National Park, as you know it now, was what we call the rhinos. And so they protected these rhinos, and then they fenced the park, then gave it to government and a government body called KWS, which I think David was working for. So that's how long we've been around. And our vision is to have a healthy natural environment, supporting people, sustainable development in Kenya. So we are combining climate change, climate and environmental conservation, and also people development. So we don't want to forget people in what we do. So I'll go so in Mombasa we work in. Let me just show the map of coastal Kenya. Large presentation. So this is where we work. This map shows where we. So we coastal Kenya program. So we do terrestrial work and also marine work. So we work in protecting marine in Kisiti and Mpukuti. We do a lot of work mangrove, and I know right now that we are working mangrove. So we've done a lot of data and research around mangrove and blue pond. I know you must know, either some of you, wherever you come from, you must know people out in the coast who are getting some money from planting, restoring actually mangrove. If you've heard about it, I'm sure some of you have heard, or if you've not heard, you just know that that is happening. That people, if you are restoring mangrove, you can also get some money from doing that. Also, either through the blue carbon work or the blue carbon credits, which a lot of organizations are actually running to start working on. We also work in a region called Soknot. Soknot is south of Kenya, north of Tanzania. So this comes from Taita Taveta all the way to Kajiado, Narok, and Nakuru County. Then we have a Kenya Rift Lake program, which is Nakuru, Nyahururu, Bogoria, and all the way to Elgeyo Marakwet and part of Uasin Gishu. So the reason we work in these areas is because This is the area where we have a lot of species, be it marine and also wildlife. And also there are the areas where most of them are affected by either drought, or they have areas with either freshwater lakes, a lot of birds, or the Ramsar sites, among others. So maybe if you come from either you come from the or Western Kenya, not working there. So if you start a business yourself also, you realize that there's a need to have a scope or a specific area where you focus before you start scaling. So unless someone has a question, I can then continue from there. Ken? So any question or I continue?
I think you can continue, but I'm very interested in the blue carbon. Community in Kwale or in Kilifi, what are the opportunities that they can successfully market? Because what I know is also the cost of getting certification can be quite exorbitant.
Yeah, that's a good question. And also I think Ali Tambo, you have a question. Hello? There was someone who had a question, Ali.
Ali, you need to unmute. If you unmute.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe.
So I'll continue as we wait.
Then Ali could type the question.
Yeah, so I know some of you are trying to innovate or start ventures around this area, either in the coastal Kenya, and you are wondering what idea can I work on, or how can my idea scale, or maybe how can an organization like WWF, ICUN, or can I work with this organization or AWF? So let me show you. So when you start a venture, or you have this group, wondering where do I start? The first place to start will be, I'll just make my slides cheaper. So you need to identify an area where you innovate around. Let's say maybe you want to work on mangrove. So there are different types. So WWF, the way we look at innovation at WWF, there are 9 types of innovation on how people can approach actually a product or a service or a grain business that they are working on. And I'll share about these 9 with some examples as I answer what the question that David had. Let's say maybe you are a group and you want to do the following. You want to establish an apiculture group to link conservation and restoration of mangrove with the generation of equitable economic for coastal communities. So this is you working on this. That problem statement has the following elements. You are looking at habitat, community work, you want to develop enterprise, and also partnership. So all these areas is an avenue for you to make money the way they have been highlighted. So first you are doing habitat work, meaning that if you are restoring mangroves, you are actually contributing to habitat restoration. Then also, not just habitat, actually, we left out, also fish and some marine species also, they thrive where mangrove are, and et cetera, et cetera. So you need to find a way to link the work you are doing with the conservation elements of organization like ours. For example, WWF is mostly focused on driving sustainability, and the slide were too many, so I want to just share what is important for you. For example, if you wanted to work with us, you might need to be focusing on wildlife habitats. Habitats means mangrove is an habitat, and you also focus on things like species. Species is like either if you are working on tuna, or you are a fisherman, or you are doing also waste management, there's a potential for you to work with WWF. Because if you are focusing on livelihoods, either how people, environment, and how people get their food, there's an opportunity for you to work with a green organization. Footprint, things to do with climate change and reducing. So that is where now mangrove and blue carbon comes in. Then policy change. Let's say you have a CBO and you want to advocate, either do advocacy and do some form of activism around policy change, either men or different groups in coastal Kenya. So you can actually, those are different areas of you starting an initiative and actually getting support or supported by different conservation organizations. And the first thing you need to look at which will make you attractable is these 9 elements. And then 9 elements, element number 1 is your funding model. For example, maybe your organization is looking at how to fund conservation, or people working, or communities living on mangroves, or working on mangrove restoration. And this could be through either developing carbon product. So maybe your work could be, as a CBO, your work is to collect data of how many community members are working on mangrove. Then you go around and collect data on how many either acreages or mangroves have been restored. Then find a way to put this into a data system. Then sell it to corporates. Sell that to corporates, and then corporates who are working on blue carbon have a way of calculating. They can easily tell you how much, either 1 mangrove or 2 or 3, whatever, how much carbon blue carbon it holds. And in exchange for you money, it's because either if they work in manufacturing, for example, if it's Shell, because Shell to produce oil causes a lot of destruction to the environment, they are looking for people like CBOs or women or groups or youth groups who are working on either mangrove restoration or blue carbon, so that they can sell them a product, or they can actually exchange the blue carbon credit with money, but with a commitment that you will be able to do several things for them. So that first model, you will need to look for. So I know a lot of CBOs, or maybe you in Mombasa or Kilifi, it will be difficult for you to develop a carbon product. So what you should do is, the first thing is find a company. There are companies in Kenya who develop carbon products. There are many actually. If you just Google carbon product companies, you'll find some of them. For example, there's one called ESG Securities. So just go to them and tell them, this is what we are doing. And you need to be doing a lot of data collection. If you are doing anything, always make sure that you are documenting, you are writing, and you know how many. If you are having a meeting, if you are having, if you are going to restore mangrove or plant mangrove, etc., you need to be documenting your activities. So all those activities are actually what is calculated to know how much you will be paid for that activity. The other processes are like. Maybe your work is around advocacy. So advocacy is where maybe an innovation will come from. And we work on different types of advocacy in coastal Kenya. For example, we work with a lot of CBOs and youth groups like Save Lamu and Kilifi Youth Association, and many others. So this organization, the way they work is that, WWF does their work through these CBOs. So if you are doing any work that is related to what has already been highlighted, you are more likely to be our partner on the ground, and not just us, even ICN or any other organization that is, even our embassies that are working in the US. So what they'll want is that for you to either write a proposal to them and say, I'll bring youths together, or I'll bring women together to talk about the importance of either climate change or environment, etc., and then they will give you support or money to implement these activities. The other area that is very marketable now is called nature-based solutions. I'm not sure how many of you have heard about NBS, or bankable nature solutions, the two terminologies. Anyone has heard about nature-based solutions or bankable nature solutions? Okay, so nature-based solutions are businesses that support nature, but also give you some form of livelihood. It's like a social enterprise, really, but mostly nature-related. So if you run any NBS, there's a bigger opportunity. There's a lot of funding now, or money that is going towards especially